Hello and welcome to the Festival of Enneagram. My name is Andre Evans, and today, after 18 months of some hard work by some very talented and dedicated volunteers, we're excited this week to launch the Enneagram Association of Australia and Aotearoa, New Zealand. We are driven by a real desire to create connection in our region and opportunities for Enneagram communities to gather and to bridge those silos that really have been around in our region and learn from each other in our own time zone, which would be a bonus. And I think the time's come. And so I want to welcome people to the Festival of the Enneagram. It's a free launch week with showcasing lots of local and international speakers. But right now we've got a very particular treat, and I'm joined today by one of the luminaries of the Enneagram world, Mr. Russ Hudson. It's a real pleasure to welcome Russ to this significant moment of the association and the beginnings, I hope, of something that will serve not only our region but the deeper unfolding of the Enneagram. If I may, a little bit about Russ. He's widely regarded as one of the most important living teachers of the Enneagram. As co-founder of the Enneagram Institute and through his decades of teaching, writing and deep inquiry, Russ has helped us to articulate the Enneagram not simply as a system of personality, but as a living wisdom tradition. And I think what distinguishes your work, Russ, is your emphasis on presence, on the lived, embodied experience of the teachings, and your ongoing commitment to depth. Many of us, including me, have been shaped by your thinking, directly or indirectly. So welcome, Russ, and thank you for joining me today and for your support of the association.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Andre. It's lovely to have this opportunity to chat and connect and explore.
Beautiful, thank
Yeah.
you. Well, one of the themes that we've been looking at is about why community matters, or Enneagram communities in particular. And I guess at times when technology is rapidly changing how we interact and shape and even know ourselves, I think people are wanting that deeper connection. And I'm wondering about your own thoughts on the role of community in the Enneagram world.
Well, I got into the contemporary Enneagram through kind of, I wouldn't say the back door, but not in the usual way. I came to it through the Gurdjieff work. And Gurdjieff was the guy who originally brought the Enneagram symbol into the awareness of the
Yeah.
modern world back around the time of the First World War. Um, in any case, Gurdjieff said very explicitly it was impossible for us to develop without community,
Mm.
without other. The quote that it's a paraphrase I have of him, but it seems to have gotten legs, is that it is not difficult to do the work alone. It is impossible.
Yeah.
And so without the reflection of others, which is one part of it, we tend to go off course, don't we? It's
Mm.
whether it's just one person you're working with, but I think all the more powerfully when we are in some kind of community. The other reason is a little more esoteric, but true in my experience, and I just invite people to check in. It's when more of us gather together with a common aim, it produces a kind of energy, a kind of presence that's harder to achieve on our own.
Mm.
It's like we attract more grace, if you will, to use some
I
old school
completely agree.
metaphors.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
like yeah, it's like that, and it pulls it in. And the way you notice that internally is just that it's easier to do the work.
Mm.
I don't know why that would be, but it seems to be true that when we're seated together, practicing together, communicating together, things that might have seemed overwhelmingly
Mm.
challenging become within the realm of what we can actually wrestle with, what we can actually
Yeah.
move through. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm an Enneagram 5, so it wouldn't have been my first thought.
No, that might
What?
have
I've
been
got
a
to do
learned
this with other
thing.
people? But if I can do it, everybody else can do it.
Well,
That's my
and I
take.
do know what you mean. If I think about what was transformative for me, it was coming into group, into connection with other people, and moving out of conceptual stuff and into a kind of experience of it. So I don't think it's easy to do that on your own. Mm.
Well,
Mm.
there's other, we start to have corrective experiences too in community.
Yeah.
Like if you had some people in your past who are a bit of stinkers, if somebody really gave you a lot of difficulty, you'll have a certain allergy to some of the Enneagram points, to certain
Yes.
kinds of people, right? But then you go and you meet people in community and they're that same Enneagram type or that same kind of person. Oh, they're not so bad, really. They're
Mm.
they're they're not mean, they're not evil, they're not crazy. And so there's that. And it starts to be part of a healing
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and us learning how to communicate and connect in ways that aren't the usual ways that people
Mm.
connect.
Yeah. So it's redemptive, isn't it? There's a kind of chance to heal those old wounds
Yes.
in connection that you can't do on your own. Yeah.
It's also very challenging, and this is part of why I think it's important in this time. We have to learn some other ways of connecting with the humanity of each other that aren't in some sense exclusionary. Like we're the cool people and everybody else, well,
Yeah.
not as enlightened as we are. They're not as cool as they are. They have the wrong political views. They have the wrong gender. They have the wrong whatever,
Yep.
right? But our group is cool. There had to be another more open-ended, deeper basis of human connection that isn't based on making some kind of fortress against everybody else.
And solidifying around people that think the same way I do. And so, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, where diversity and the different views are not only welcome, necessary for the whole
Yeah.
thing to work.
Yeah. And so that's the beauty of community. We sit in a circle with that wide variety of humanity, and it challenges us to share our common humanity, but also um, I remember thinking, why aren't people more like me? Why aren't people more like I'm a nine? Why aren't people more peaceful and easygoing? And it was only
Right.
in the work that I learned that yeah, that isn't the job. That isn't
No, no.
and so it needed to be in community for me to feel that oh, so not everybody's trying to keep it calm and peaceful. Yeah.
No, and you give it a little more reflection. Imagine how crazy the world if everybody was like me. Oh
Yeah.
dear. I remember there was that crazy movie years ago, Being John Malkovich.
Yes. Yes.
There was this room that they'd go into John
Yeah.
Malkovich's head, and then he made the mistake of going in there himself.
Yes.
And he got in there, and it was a universe where everybody was him, and the only word they said was Malkovich. He came out, ah, he
We
said,
don't
"I've
need more of
seen
that,
things
do
that
we?
no living person should see."
I think that's true. I mean, was it always a communal tradition in your experience? Like I heard what you're saying about Gurdjieff, but the way you learnt it, like, what can you tell us a bit about the early days of the Enneagram community?
Sure. Well, it's a story of growth and challenge and change. Yes, I learned originally in the Gurdjieff work, and there it was all about being in groups and working in groups, very much so. When I came into the Enneagram community, it was because I encountered Don Richard Risso's first book, Personality Types.
Mm,
And after a few months, I found out he lived nearby. We both living in New York City. I still do. And we got together, started talking. He wanted to learn about the Gurdjieff work from me, and I wanted to learn about his understanding of the Enneagram because his book was very impressive.
mm,
And we started a conversation. And Don was a four on the Enneagram, and in terms of the instincts, he was low social. So he really was not a guy going out connecting with people very much, and neither was I.
mm,
But our relationship, our communication, our friendship became a basis of us starting to explore the ideas.
mm,
And then when we began to teach workshops and so forth, we found them amazing and what could be done when people
mm,
did come together, and to begin to really bring into the community this, as you were mentioning, the importance of presence.
mm,
That just having a system that as I call it, a filing system for human beings will get you only so far.
Yeah.
It's not the purpose. It's a good
No.
start, but then you got to go beyond that. And that's what
Yeah.
we started to do. And there was a long process, of course. Um, there were different schools of Enneagram thought, different teachers. There was the narrative school out on the West Coast with Helen Palmer. There was Hurley and Dotson in Colorado. There was Jerry Wagner in Chicago. There were some of the older ones. There was still Arica with Oscar Ichazo. There was still
Hmm.
Claudio Naranjo teaching, and everyone was kind of in their own tribe. But I think gradually through the International Enneagram Association, which was created out of the conference that Helen and David Daniels did in Stanford. Don Riso had the idea of creating a kind of ecumenical organization, and he handed it over and became the IEA, the International Enneagram. It began a dialogue
Mm.
between the schools and people meeting each other. And I think it really began a process of a kind of umbrella
Yeah.
where people could talk about it. We don't have to agree about everything. We don't have to agree about every theory, but our aim is similar. We're trying
Yeah.
to help the world in a certain way.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
and, ideals that are really close to my heart. Yeah. Um, I think too, if people are dealing with big life changes, or if I think about some of the small groups where people have gathered to share the Enneagram too, it's been a sustenance for them too when life hits them hard, when there's been upheaval and challenges, and so that's another aspect of community too. That I wonder if if that you see that and as an important part of the work.
Yeah, and there's a couple of ways I understand that. One of them is, again, an idea I plucked from Gurdjieff, which part of my early training and teaching and learning was the idea of essence friends. That we have, friends in life and we have some fun adventures with them. And later in life, a lot of our connection is remembering the good old days. Remember that time when we did this or did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And then you have a beer, you have some coffee, do whatever. But an essence friend is somebody who stands for what's real in me.
Mm.
An essence friend is somebody who is here to be awake with me, who's we're not here to just fidget and be silly. That might happen too. It's
Mm.
not off the table, it's not off the menu, but we're here to wake up together and to
Yeah.
celebrate each other on a soul level. That becomes really important. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the crisis of our time is sort of comes back to human beings not really feeling their being anymore, not
Yeah.
knowing that they actually have a sacred place in the cosmos, in the universe. Ancient people weren't superstitious, but they knew that.
Mm.
They knew that they had a place, not just in community, but that community itself was serving some greater purpose.
Yeah.
That's so absent from much of modern life. And I teach all over the world, and it's the same story pretty much everywhere I
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So I think community that's based on presence and being essence friends and celebrating and learning about what we really are is so important and
Yeah.
becomes a wonderful counterforce to all the things that are pulling on our attention these days, generally creating anxiety and distraction.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's become more urgent, with the algorithms shaping our sense of who we are and with um, technology creating more and more distance. It feels really urgent, I guess, that need for real connection and understanding. But can you speak a little bit about presence? You talk about presence, and it'd be good to get an idea of what you mean by that. So if we're talking about that.
Sure. Well, as I learned the Enneagram, and again learning it through the Gurdjieff work, it was only about that. And
Mm.
there's different ways people might experience it or frame it. At first, it seems like a quality that you are aware of or not aware of. But if you go deeper into it, you start to find out that presence is not something you have, it's what you are. that what we are as consciousness, as awareness, is
mm,
presence. Um, Initially, presence is being more in the now, in the present moment. But I always say you can plan in the now. It's just being more dynamically connected with the living moment and what's in it, inside and around us. Um, and the Enneagram offers this insight, if you use it this way, of the centers.
yes,
And the centers of intelligence. We have our belly center, body center. And if we're present, we sense our body. We're aware of our body. We're aware of our movement. We're not thinking about it. We feel it.
yeah,
It's what in some psychotherapeutic circles we would call the felt sense,
yes,
right?
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And a lot of healing of trauma and things like that come through the felt sense. And then there's the heart, and if we're present, we're affected by the moment. We're touched. We
mm,
allow ourselves to be affected. Usually the heart's impacted by history that
yeah,
we project into the future. And so our heart's still reacting to things that happened a long time ago.
protective,
And
yeah,
that's not wrong,
mm,
but it's limited in terms of the potential what the heart can be.
yeah,
If we want peace, kindness, courage, these deeper qualities of the heart, they come from the heart in presence,
yeah.
right? In the now,
Which can
touched
be
by reality.
scary, can't it? Because if you're busy
Right.
protecting yourself, it can be pretty scary to
Yeah.
go there.
That's why I'm talking about them in sequence. If I'm not here with some degree of embodiment, I
Mm,
lack the sense of substantiality, of
mm,
confidence
yeah,
that allows me to dare to go back to the heart.
mm,
Otherwise, it's too overwhelming for most people. And we'll just have a little glimpse and jump back into the box.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and then there's head center, which gets demonized in some spiritual traditions, and that makes us all very manipulatable. Um, the head center is not about thinking. It's about the capacity to recognize, to see what's needed, and it's experientially kind of open-ended and quiet. It's an inner quiet, an inner openness, and from which most of our good ideas, responses, and creative impulses come.
yeah,
So that's pretty important too. When we're the more we're present, the more all of that will start working in concert.
mm.
And we start to become more and more what Mr. Gurdjieff called a human being without quotation marks. You know,
The real thing.
let the angels be angels. It would be good enough if we could just be truly human.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
yeah. And that's such a contrast to the AI world, isn't it? Like the true
Yeah.
human with all of the centers aligned. I mean, it retains something very precious when we can do that. It's a challenge,
Yes.
I think, in this era.
Oh, I think it's always been difficult. You don't look back at history and see the history of a lot of wise humans being present to each other, but there have always been some.
Mm,
There have always been some. There's always been people holding the lights on,
mm,
holding the candle flame through the ages. And, I tell my students, it's our turn.
mm. We've got
It's
to
our turn
hold the
to
torch.
hold that torch exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And in a time of tremendous transition. And the Enneagram isn't just about a typology. It goes into understanding certain processes, certain ways our consciousness works. There's many layers to what the Enneagram's about. And I think if we're learning that and we're learning to embody it,
Mm,
to practice from it, it's the best possible preparation we could have for the challenges of our time.
yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Um, I think that it's very easy out there to see the Enneagram represented as a really amazing personality typing. And
It is that.
I mean, it is that, but you've referenced that it's so much more, and you're one of those people who really do point beyond the map. What are we being invited to remember about ourselves through the Enneagram?
Well, that's the eternal and big question, isn't it? Yeah, I think the Enneagram, just the response that comes to me right now in being with you and contemplating this, one thing that I think it's a little corrective of, it's not saying the ego is bad or evil.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't happen to be who I am.
Mm.
It's not my identity, and it's not supposed to be the boss. Those, if we just understood that, then the ego could take its correct place. I think the Enneagram, in its deeper truth, is not just describing our ego patterns. It does do that, but
Mm.
it's placing those ego patterns in a context, in a broader understanding. Like our ego patterns are kind of reflections or shadows of something real about us.
Yeah.
So, like you were saying in Enneagram 9, when we're present, one of the things we get landed, we come home to ourselves. We experience our being, and our being is reflected in everything. We
Yeah.
feel it in everything. We are restored to a sense of wholeness and unity that is a natural state for human beings. And then the personality of the nine, feeling the loss of that, is trying to recreate it, reflect that.
Mm.
So I think that what we start to get clear about what we really are looking for, what we want, and in a certain sense, what our great gift is
Yeah.
to the world. But we're seeing we're barking up the wrong tree. We're going about it in a way that will never satisfy
Yeah.
us.
We seem to
So,
be really perpetually doing that, don't we? We,
oh yeah,
we can do that
yeah,
loop for a
that's
long
that's the
time.
story. You can spend your whole life doing that, and many
Yes.
people
Yeah.
do.
Um, so I think that if we, I'm really curious about that interior journey, that journey from understanding my ego pattern to coming back to essence. And
Hmm.
it's something that's not easy to explain to people. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about your ideas
Yeah.
around that.
Well, sure. Well, I think you can look at each Enneagram point as a kind of person. Fair enough, it is. But each one is also a kind of metaphor or a pathway for the restoration of our humanity,
Mm,
and teaches us something about how to get back there.
yeah,
And in each case, there's something in our experience that we've rejected, shut down to, pushed away, the restoration of which gets us back on the right track again. And just as an example, point eight. Point eight is about our aliveness, our confidence. If you're present in your body, you feel your body's energy, you
yeah,
feel the vividness of life, you feel ready to deal with whatever life gives you. You're full of just rich, full, vibrant, what in India we call Shakti,
mm,
right? And you got your mojo working, and it's quite beautiful. And
mm,
that's a gift of presence. And then the whole world is alive and vibrant. And when we're more present, it's like that.
yeah.
That's one reason a lot of eights don't prefer a lot of spiritual community, because they shun that. They're
Mm.
all very quiet and soft and pastel. And then
And they
the
can
eight says,
shame
"Get
that
me out of
too.
here.
They can shame it
I
too.
I don't want to be there." No, but what we understand is that eight in personality is trying to be that aliveness, and tries to do it by force, by pushing, by making things happen, by
Yeah.
asserting oneself constantly. And that gets pretty exhausting. But the cork in the bottle for point eight is the heart, and it's
Mm,
it's this sensitivity,
mm,
because eights develop a shell to protect the sensitivity, and in doing so, they deaden their experience of the world.
mm,
To restore that aliveness and vitality and natural strength is to come back to the heart and allow oneself to be affected, and to learn how to protect oneself without shutting everything out, without throwing up walls. And so there's a lifelong learning and practice that each of the points represents. And I would also add that once you've got your own, the challenge of the other ones opens up.
yeah.
You're into the game now. You're in
Yeah.
you're into the game of being a human.
But there's a whole circle to walk, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that journey for the eight is a really moving one. I mean, they're all pretty special, but that to watch the tenderness of the eight is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think, I've been down there to Australia a few times, and I know there's a lot of eight in Australian culture. It's a way, given the history and trying to
Yep.
make a living in this very challenging continent.
Yes.
So you had to be a little tough. And that's beautiful, except we want to have access to turn it on or off, or to
Yeah.
at least have an attenuator, right? We don't
Yeah.
want to be like that all the time. But when we need to be, we can be. And
Yep.
when we not, that moment where, suddenly you're looking at your grandchild, or so you don't want the wall up, right?
No.
And that
Yeah.
tenderness can come forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that flexibility, isn't it? It's the flexibility to say it's a resource, it's a gift, but I'm not addicted to it. I don't have to do it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more we have access to the real thing, the less we need to keep going back to our historic pattern. We
Yeah.
see it can be retired in stages.
Yes.
And you don't see, I'm Enneagram 5, and I just thought I had to be alone all the time to figure everything out. And then I learned that you don't figure things out that way. The things that matter are not figured out that way.
Yeah.
And the more I understood that, the less I had to isolate and be reading books all the time. There are other options, to get to wisdom and knowledge and clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've demonstrated that, I think.
Yeah, hopefully that's the other thing. You don't, one place where the Enneagram communities go off sometimes is reifying the box. Like,
Yes.
oh, well, we fours are like this, we nines are like this, we three.
So deal
I was
with me
like,
like
all right,
this.
very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And are you going to be that? Is that all you're going to be the rest of your life?
Yeah.
People used to always have the complaint, oh, I don't like the Enneagram because it puts me in a box. And my smart alecky response that's been quoted quite a bit is that the real Enneagram doesn't put you in a box. It shows you the box you're already in and how to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
And
that
that's
one.
that's my interest. So
Yeah.
we can get together and play and create and do what we're here to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's amazing. It takes me, um, if we widen the field, we're
Yeah.
we're looking at a new association for our region, Australia and New Zealand. Can
hmm
I ask a bit about the value of regional associations in your eyes?
Well, first of all, it's good to have a place to go and meet people locally who share your passion and interest. That's
Yeah.
always a good thing. And especially where you lovely people live, it's a little challenging time zone wise. Like when we're doing programs here in New York, it's not a convenient time, generally
We've
speaking,
noticed. We've noticed.
for for
I
you
promise
folks
you, we've
there.
noticed.
Yeah, and so I don't know what to do about that, other than just, well, we try to think of those things. Nonetheless, if you have your own local
Mm,
center and a place for people to come together, that's fantastic.
mm.
I think also the Enneagram truly is a global phenomena.
Yeah,
I teach all over the world. My colleagues teach all over the world. There are Enneagram groups popping up everywhere, and you just never know. I think each nation, each culture can bring something to the table that's necessary for the broader communication, for
mm,
the broader conversation.
mm.
Um, and, I would be certain of that,
Mm.
of both countries.
Yeah, yeah,
Different, and Australia's pretty big, so the different regions are quite different.
yeah.
I've taught down in Tassie, yeah,
Yep.
down in good old Hobart. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
I think I think that you get to find the way that this work operates within the context of your culture
yeah,
and where people are doing and what's important to them and how it sort of operates. Yeah, that way it's not just some, American sales pitch.
yes.
It's something that's really is all over the place.
Yeah,
And I think also for people coming in from the cold, so to speak, when they're going through a rough time or everything, to have a place that's local where with a phone call or a Zoom or actual in-person connection, people have a place to go and find sustenance
Mm.
in these very strange and rapidly changing times
Yeah.
is very important.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just time for all the voices around the world to be part of this growing chorus of trying to steer the world in a little bit different direction than it's been going for a bit.
Yeah. Absolutely. It feels very urgent right now that we need to be
Yeah,
able to cooperate and understand and respect. So, yeah.
yeah,
Um, one of the tensions I sometimes see is between maintaining the integrity or the tradition versus growth and evolution and new ideas.
yeah.
What's the challenge for organisations and associations as far as wanting to have integrity around the work, but also not wanting to stifle growth?
Yeah, I think it's a delicate matter as
Mm.
you're mentioning. And I think it's a lot of it is around maintaining certain professional standards. I don't think we're here as organizations to be police of the
No.
Enneagram, as if we could be. People are
Yeah.
going to do what they want to do. But it should be the case that people who are connected with our more regulated and conscious community will know, all right, there's going to be good quality there. These
Yeah.
people are not going to be saying kooky stuff. Um, there's going to be that level. And I think that's a big part of that is education and learning what's out there, learning the traditions,
Mm.
learning what has been traditional, and seeing what are the new frontiers. Some things are new and there are things that are being tried out, and some things that are, for example, it's been a growing thing with a lot of the young people, the tri-type thing, but that
Yes.
was not part of traditional Enneagram. Can that be useful? Well, yeah, perhaps. Let's look how it can be, and let's look at how it becomes a distraction.
Yeah.
So I think with everything, including traditional stuff, you're just always looking at, is this helping
Yeah.
us be
Yeah.
present, or is this
Getting in
another
the way.
bit of
Yeah.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly.
Mm. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Um, I suppose I think about stewarding, like how do we steward well the work, given that we're holding the torch for a moment
Mhm.
and then we
Yeah.
pass it on. Thoughts about that? I mean, you've been doing that for a long time. You've been stewarding that work for a long time. What's your
Yeah, I
thoughts?
think I think we need to be realistic. Some people, like me and some of my colleagues, have had the good fortune to really be involved in conscious communities for a long time.
Mm,
And have some extraordinary mentors and teachers who have entrusted us as the next generation with holding the depth of what this is about.
yeah.
I can't say that everyone teaching the Enneagram has that kind of background, but some do.
Mm,
And not everyone has to have that, but it's important that some people do. So that I just see people are going to get into it at the level of their interest, at the level of what they can reasonably do, given the structures of their life. I'm not expecting everybody to run off and join a monastery or something,
no.
but a few people might.
And that,
And so
and
we
that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, one way it was put to me years ago when I was first getting interested in all this, I've told this story hither and fro. I was a musician in those days, and one of my a guitar player, and one of my guitar heroes was a man named Robert Fripp, who had a band called King Crimson, and he played with David Bowie, and he played with Talking Heads, a very celebrated guitarist. And he was playing a solo show in New York, and I got to meet him, but I was asking him about the Gurdjieff work. And he said something I never forgot, and I just say it to you because it's very relevant to the creation of these communities. He said, "The age of the guru is over."
Mm,
The idea of this parental relationship where I'm the mommy or the daddy and I've got it all and you're just my children and you're here to just receive the blessings of me and I've got the answers and make no mistakes and you poor people are
you
one
need
day
them.
you might be where
Yeah.
I am. He
Yeah.
said that model has just been so corrupted that we can't really go back to it. And I agree.
Yeah.
He said now it's more like older brothers and sisters helping other younger brothers and sisters, and we're all bootstrapping each other up the mountain together.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I can go
So
with that
we
one.
have
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we have and I think that fits the Australian and,
Mm.
and New Zealand temperament quite well too, that way of looking
Yeah.
at it.
Well, I'm
And
much
you
more
know,
we're in this together
yeah, we're in
than
this together, but respect our autonomy.
yeah. Nailed it.
Both are true.
Very
And
true.
yeah, and so I'd say that as long as there are people in different stages of understanding, there's some people they know a bit, but they can be great at inviting people in. Hey, I
Yeah.
found out this thing called the Enneagram. Check this out. Now you might be ready to meet my teacher, and then maybe that teacher takes you to their teacher. And there's a sort of it's not a hierarchy like a power hierarchy, but some when you're climbing into the higher mountains, you work with mountaineers who are familiar with that
With that
territory, right?
altitude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's experience.
Yeah.
So that I think, and just so openness to new creative ideas and innovations, at the same time respecting that there are people who have more experience in this than I do,
Mm,
and that's okay. I'm
mm.
just thinking of, if I had a child and they were very sick, I would want to go to a doctor who had expertise dealing with that illness, not just somebody on YouTube who had made a
I
video
just
about
met.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this person just learned about this and they're talking about it. Well, good, but I'll go with the experience. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, and people can plug in at different levels of experience. And if you think of it less as a fixed thing that people are in or out of and more of a dynamic process,
Yeah.
I think that's closer to what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think that fits what I see. I see people coming in and sometimes moving out or coming back in again and
Yeah.
cycling through a bit too. Yeah.
Yeah, they come in, warm their feet a bit, and then they go back out and they say, actually that wasn't so bad.
I thought I
I
was a five, but I'm not.
No, they all this typing and I'm always telling people the chances that you off the street have the experience and self-observation to accurately perceive this very deep structure in your psyche is not big. So make room for the fact that you take a stab at it and don't be convinced that that's the final truth. It might be,
Yeah.
but it might not be. And in any case, the pattern is not what you are. It's just a very important pattern to be aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Um, while we're here, any advice you would offer for a new regional community just finding its feet?
Oh my goodness. I would say welcome everybody. Learn what's out there in the field these days. I have to keep doing that too. Every time I turn around, there are 15 new Enneagram books.
Yep.
Many of them are just, footnotes of stuff that got written a while ago, but sometimes they bring something new to the table. And people from my good friend Robert Holden, who is a big teacher of other things. He started off as a teacher of the Course in Miracles, and he's also been in the UK teaching about the nature of happiness, what really makes us happy versus what we think makes us happy, and things like that. But he just wrote a beautiful Enneagram book, and it's going to be part of the conversation. So I say, have ways that people can communicate about new ideas,
Yeah.
offerings, different kinds of speakers. Um, the other thing I'd say, Enneagram communities need events, talks, workshops, conferences, things like that, very helpful for bringing community together. But they also, and I think we're realizing this more on a global level, they need places where people can go to get together to explore these things,
Yeah.
whether they're doing that through Zoom, like we're doing now, or
Yeah.
whether they're doing it in person, like folks there in Melbourne or Sydney
Yeah.
or Adelaide or what have you. They can do that.
Yeah.
And people might be off, somewhere a little away from the cities, and it might not be easy, but there's always other means. I think places where people can come and talk about this stuff.
Yes. So
I also
process
think
it
not
and integrate it. Yeah.
You got it. I
Mm.
was going to say not just chit-chatting about theories or what type of celebrity is.
Yeah.
Not that,
No.
but more about how we're working with it, what's
Yeah.
coming up for us.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? Do you think that that again, that reflection that we
Mm.
talked about?
Yeah.
I think people are very hungry for that
Yeah.
now. And if we provide a good, safe place for that to occur, where something meaningful occurs,
Mm.
people are going to support the organization.
Yeah. Beautiful. I appreciate that. I mean, it takes me to some of my most profound experiences with it, which is in group,
Oh yeah.
actually an embodied experience of it. And it was life changing. Like it was really
Yeah.
powerful. Um, and that does not happen from reading books with respect to books.
No. Books just point you towards something like that. If you
Yeah.
follow, books are like the breadcrumbs, you follow
Yeah.
the breadcrumbs, they'll lead you to something from time to time.
Yeah.
If you're really moved by the book, it's an opportunity to explore that.
Yeah.
But people get caught up in being armchair experts, and that's not really what it's about. Um,
No.
and if you're really living the Enneagram, you roll up your sleeves and you get involved.
Yeah.
You know,
Beautiful. That's a good call to action for us too, I think. So finally, what gives you hope about the future of this work?
that's a very good question. I want to honor that question and answer it as honestly as I can. I've been teaching for, the last 30 years that we're entering a pivotal time in human history. And I don't think, that might have been a little harder to see in 1993, but it's certainly not hard to see now.
Mm.
And we've sort of reached the limits of what our current sociological, economic,
Mm.
governmental structures can do. And we see that for humanity to go on, we've come to what Gurdjieff called a shock point,
Yes.
uh, where we're entering a new octave. In entering that new octave, we have to be open to different influences, to different possibilities, to shed the shackles of some of our habitual ways of life.
Yeah.
And at the same time, to not take for granted some of the miracles. I mean, how much of human history were people able to take a hot shower? And we just take it quite for granted.
Yeah.
And we don't know where it's going. We know it's going to be changing. We know that the changes are usually challenging. Transformation is never comfortable.
Mm.
If you want comfort, just stay asleep. Development is uncomfortable, and we're in a huge development, and it will be uncomfortable. But what we're learning, I think, is to find another point of stability
Mm.
within ourselves and with each other
Yeah.
that is not based in external factors that
Mhm.
can go away so
Yeah.
easily.
I'm not really
You
leaning
know,
on the world to be stable so that I can,
right.
yeah.
So we need this other stable place from which
Mm.
our
It's here.
creativity and whatever we want to build into this new world can come forth. And so it's a kind of a call to arms across the planet now. And whether people are doing it through the Enneagram or other means, I think when you're involved in that movement, you kind of wink. You recognize people. They might be a Buddhist over there in Thailand. They might be, a Sufi practitioner in Turkmenistan. I don't know. They could be anywhere, but people really getting that. You sort of get it. And I don't think it will be ready if we aren't practicing,
Mm.
aren't studying, and aren't coming together around that impulse.
Yeah.
I think that the last thing I'll say is like if you are aware of this, you kind of knew about this your whole life.
Mm.
Kind of always felt like something's coming. I don't know what it is, but I feel it coming.
Mm.
How can I meet that?
Yeah.
What's necessary? So I think these communities and organizations such as you're now forming are going to be really important tents for people to gather
Yeah.
around these wishes and impulses. Very
Yeah.
important.
That's our hope, that's for sure. Well, that's given me a bit of inspiration to move us forward, I think. Much gratitude to you, Russ, for your generosity. I do appreciate it. It's been lovely talking to you.
Likewise.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you might be offering for people who sign up to your presentation during the Festival of Enneagram? What could that might they expect to
Well, look,
see?
we're talking about the deeper dive, right?
That's right, the one they need to
Yeah.
sign up membership for
If
to
you've
actually.
signed up, right. Well, I'm going to go into a lot of detail around the sort of thing that we are just talking about. How do we go? What's the movement? What's the turn of attention? What are the practices around going from, okay, there's my personality type. How do I parlay that into a kind of inner work that starts to open the gifts of these deeper places I was talking about? Are what in Enneagram speak we call our essential nature, our true nature. What helps to bring that forth? So
Mm.
there are little ways we're going to go into the details of that, of the 9 Enneagram points, and look at how that might work. And it just might be something that could give you a lift.
Yeah. All right, that's tantalizing. All right,
Yeah.
so can I encourage people to sign up so that you're eligible to follow up with Russ on that? And you can do that on our beautiful new website, enneagram.aanz.org.au. And thank you again, Russ, for your generosity. We really appreciate it. It's been lovely talking to
Thank you. And hello to everyone over there. I miss you all.
you.
Hope I
Well, we look forward to seeing you at the next event. Yeah.
all right.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so much.
much. Bye bye. Okay. Thank you.
Boom.
You make it look easy. That's great.
Well, I've been doing this a long time. It's like, like
You have.
it's like the tipping point, that Malcolm Gladwell book. I put in those 10,000 hours for sure.
Yeah, I bet you have. Look, it's so lovely. I so appreciate it. I can breathe now, so it's good. I have to
Good.
confess, as the social nine with the sexual instinct blind, I'm not in my comfort zone doing this, so I'm pushing myself.
That's good. It's good.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
and you were very joyful and that's it. Just to find the fun in it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I enjoyed it very much. All
Yeah.
right, thank you. I'll wish you well for the rest of your day, and I'm going to go to bed.
I have a lovely sleep.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Be
Bye bye.
well. Thank you.